Welcome to Aging with Dignity, the podcast where we explore how we care for ourselves, our aging loved ones, and the communities we call home. I'm your host, Varsha. In each episode, we shine a light on the systems, choices, and deeply personal stories that shape how aging unfolds, and sometimes how we say goodbye. Because grief is an inevitable part of the aging journey. The way we support those who grieve matters just as much as the way we support those who age. Today, we're focusing on grief counseling and the resources available for families facing the loss of an elderly loved one, a conversation close to my heart, and I'm sure many of yours. Grief is something we all face, but nothing truly prepares you for it, even when you think you're ready. I know this personally. Like so many others who've said goodbye to a parent, I found myself navigating waves of emotion, sadness, gratitude, guilt, even moments of peace all wrapped together. Grief isn't just one thing. It can show up in lots of different ways. And knowing the differences helps us understand what someone might be going through. There are actually 12 different forms of grief. I won't go into all of them here, but I have included a summary in the Care Toolkit for this episode. However, let's identify a few forms of grief because when we can properly identify the grief and understand its implications, we can respond in a manner that is appropriate and can help the person dealing with the grief. First, there's what is known as normal or common grief. This is what we would all likely identify as a typical grief reaction one experiences after a loss. Typically, as time passes, the symptoms lessen. Then there's anticipatory grief. I experience this a lot with my mother. It's when you start feeling the sadness and loss before someone actually passes away. When Mum was in palliative care, I found myself frequently already mourning the future without her. It can be confusing because your loved one is still here, but you're grieving what's coming. Then there's disenfranchised grief. That's a grief other people don't always see or recognize. Maybe someone loses a friend, a pet, or even goes through a breakup. But because it's not a typical loss, like the death in the family, people don't always offer the support that's needed. It can feel really lonely. Absent grief is an interesting one because it's typically characterized by the lack of outward signs of grief. This doesn't mean the person is not grieving. It just means they don't display their grief in a way a community would typically expect. It could also highlight inhibited or delayed grief. And then there's complicated grief. This is when grief hangs around way longer than expected, and it starts to interfere with daily life. Instead of slowly healing, the person might feel stuck, like the pain is just too much to move past. That's when professional support can really be important. The key is to remember that grief isn't a one-size-fits-all experience. Everyone's journey looks different, and all of it is valid. Of course, no matter the circumstances, the grief feels real, and it lingers in different ways. That's why I'm especially grateful to welcome today's guest, Emelie Pothier-Tessier from Deuil-Jeunesse. It's a remarkable organization here in Quebec that supports people of all ages through the grieving process. Emelie holds a master's degree in social work. She joined Deuil-Jeunesse in 2019, where she offers grief counseling, professional coaching, and training. She's an accomplished social worker who works directly with individuals and families who are navigating loss, including the unique grief that comes from the passing of elders. Emelie, welcome to Aging with Dignity. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you.
For those who may not be familiar, can you share a little bit about what Deuil-Jeunesse is and how it came to be?
Yeah, for sure. It was founded in 2008. Deuil-Jeunesse is a non-profit organization whose mission and interventions are specialized on young people and their families. It's very specific for the people who are experiencing the death of a loved one, serious illness, abandonment, or disappearance also. Deuil-Jeunesse was created by José Masson, a social worker, after realizing the lack of services and expertise available for the people who are facing this kind of reality. We provide professional services and personalized services that promote the well-being of every grieving child, teenagers, and young adults, because we firmly believe that they have the right to express themselves just like every other bereaved person.
Absolutely.
We also offer services to adults, elders, and families. Our approach aims to ensure that our support and the interventions are as relevant and tailored as possible to each bereaved person. Our distinctive approach is based on implementing methods such as support, guidance, informations, and awareness raising. We also share our expertise with professionals across various fields, both in Quebec and beyond Quebec's borders also.
That's terrific. A real spectrum of services that you're providing. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. So you yourself have quite a colorful background in terms of all the social work that you've done, a lot of education in your past. How did you come to be associated with Deuil-Jeunesse and your role with the organization?
Yeah, first and foremost, I am a social worker, so I have a deep interest in human resilience. I firmly believe in people's ability to bounce back despite the obstacles they face and the difficult events that may occur in their lives. Deuil-Jeunesse is rooted in hope, in the belief that individuals have the capacity to make choices for themselves and are experts also of their own experience. That's what draws me in every day. That's what motivates me every day in my work. Yeah.
So let's talk about the basics for our listeners. What is grief and how does it manifest itself, both physically, mentally, emotionally?
Yeah, it's a good question. Grief is defined as everything we go through when someone we love die. It's also when an animal die. So it can be also human, but for animal too. It's a very personal and unique experience. We may notice changes in habits, like sleeping habits. It can be eating habits. It can be concentration. We can also see changes in moods, in also motivation and more. Changes in our relationship, but also in our social functioning can occur. For example, increased isolation or difficulty to carrying out everyday tasks can be observed. Of course, it's not everyone that will react the same way, and these reactions evolve over time. So these are just examples. And don't mean that everyone will react this will go through this kind of reaction for sure. It's very personal. Yeah.
Is there a right way to grieve?
We often hear this kind of question at Deuil-Jeunesse, and since there is no single way to react, there is no single way to experience grief, there is no set formula also for navigating this kind of reality. Some strategies can be harmful, while others are helpful. Each person has their own way to react. So it is therefore very important to pay attention to what is helpful for us and allow us to adjust to our grief, with our grief. So, of course, there are some strategies that can be harmful. For example, it can an obstacle when we try to escape our reality or to numb ourselves also. So it can have an effect, a very bad effect on the grieving process after that, yeah.
Emelie, are there any common myths or maybe misunderstandings, especially when it comes to the other side of the spectrum with losing an elder. So I know you work a lot with the youth. So the youth having to deal with the passing of their elders, whether it be parents or grandparents. Are there misunderstandings around that at all?
Yeah, for sure. Thinking that grief will be necessarily easier because of the person was older, it's indeed a myth. Since many factors influence the grieving process, the age of the deceased is one of the important factors, but there are many other ones. So there's another common myth. This one, we say often you have to, you have to be over it, there's an end of the grieving process, that after 1 year you will be over it. But we love the person for our entire life, so we will grieve this person in a way the entire life also. So grieving means living with the absence of the person, and it will last a lifetime, but with varying degrees of intensity, for sure. Yeah.
That's actually really well said, because I think we find some people grieve intensely for a month, some intensely for a year, and people have judgment calls, right? So, she's already out and about, or he's already, moving on to the next whatever in life. And we all know that's unfair, right? A month for you, maybe a year for me, maybe 5 years for the next person. We have to do what we feel right.
Exactly.
When people are interacting with someone who's grieving, are there things that we should say, or maybe more appropriately, things that we should not be saying to them?
Yeah. To tell them to move on, to tell them what to do. Telling someone what to do is not recommended, because each person has their own way to grieve. So telling them to move on also will maybe give the impression of not grieving in the right way, or also being misunderstood. So it can create pressure on people. And we want to avoid judging the person's reaction, for sure. Welcoming all their reactions is very important, because it's helpful, and we will feel more understood, but also we will feel more secure to express ourselves to other person. So it gives you security. It gives you like a feeling of being heard, and it's very important. The feeling of being understood is very, very important in the grieving process. Yeah.
I have heard stories that are horrible, honestly, with what people have said to people who are grieving, reactions, judgment again. And it's amazing that people feel they have a right to call people out on what their grief is, because who are you to tell me how I should grieve?
Exactly.
Right? I want to shift a little bit. So grief is after something happens, but in my mother's case, it was palliative care. We knew it was coming. We didn't know when, we didn't know how, but we knew it was coming. We were given, when we started palliative care at home, and when we shifted her to the Teresa Deller Palliative Center, we were told by the GP that her prognosis was under 3 months. Still without an end date, though, right? It could be 4 months, it could be 1 month, we never knew. Is there any guidance you can provide for those that are preparing for an imminent death, especially of an elder?
We can never know 100% how we will react, right? So it's important to listen to ourselves, to respect our own experience also, but to respect the differences between the reaction with our other loved one. We want to avoid comparing yourself with other, focusing on the here and now. It's very, very helpful on what we can control also. It can help to prevent to feeling overwhelmed, because it's a lot in a short moment. Sometimes it's lasting a little bit longer, but it's a lot. So to focusing on here and now can be helpful. You can ask yourself also, what do I need and how can I meet that need? Don't hesitate to talk also to other person, to your loved one, because you don't have to get through this alone for sure. And sometimes it can be a little bit isolating. You can like isolate yourself, but just to open up to other, and it can be helpful for sure for the grieving process also.
Yeah. Emelie, have you seen a difference how young people and elderly adults grieve? Is there a difference? And it's a two-part question. If there's a difference, we're talking about families here. So is there a way we can support each other?
Yeah.
Multi-generational families that may or may not live together or apart. How can we support each other if we grieve differently as well?
Yeah, for children, there are some differences. Depending on their age, they may have many questions, for example. Since the understanding of death is generally becomes more clear around age of 10, they may ask questions like, where is grandpa? And also they might wonder if the person will come back. They also ask themselves, where is the body of my grandpa? What did happen? So these types of questions are very common with children. And it's important to help them to understand. So children are sometimes treated differently than adults. We often see people leaving children aside. It's not did in a bad way. It's with very good intentions. Adults may avoid talking to children, talking about the death, talking about the illness also, thinking they are protecting them, thinking they are softening the reality also. However, what we observe is that the taboo and the lack of explanation are doing a little bit more obstacles for the grief process of the children. That's why it's important to include them, to talk to them, to explain to them about that, but also to stay truthful while answering the questions. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because when you talk about childhood experiences with grief, my first experience was at the age of 5 when my father's father passed away. My father's father, my grandfather, was in India. It was a long-distance phone call that I actually took. I guess I was learning how to answer the phone.
Yeah.
I took the call. I remember passing it to my father. And it's interesting because I believe they explained to me that my grandfather was gone, but I hadn't even met him. So there was this image of I knew what my father was to me, so his father is gone. But what really stayed with me was I remember the door to the bedroom was a little bit open. My father and his brother were sitting there, and it's the first time I saw my father cry.
Yeah.
It still chokes me up
Yeah.
because it was such a real moment. It's still a visual that I have with me. I don't know that we actually talked about it, but it was never shied away from. It was never something that was hidden or swept under the carpet. So there was a healthy approach around it. I was 5. We weren't going to talk much about it. But as I aged and as other people in my parents' lives, their parents all in India were passing away, I was now a teenager. So yes, there was conversations and I had met them. So there was an image and a relationship that I had. I say air quotes because it was very, very little relationship, but they were there. So it's interesting how you caution about children and how we interact with them.
Yeah, because sometimes we will tell another explanations to the children, and the kids are able to understand, but we have to make the condition to put the condition around them to help them to understand. So that's very important because they have the right to know it's their history also. So,
And I think it makes us healthier adults, right? When we've learned to process it. So.
Absolutely.
When is it time to see a grief counselor?
Whenever someone feels the need to, but for sure, if you see a worsening person's condition, if you see persistence over time, if you see an impact on the functioning, it can be great indicators that maybe support services are helpful for you. Yeah, but feel free to try, I would say.
Okay, so I'm going to touch on something here. In many cultures, seeking outside help is still not taboo, but it's frowned upon. Like, we don't need outside help. We can deal with this within the family. We can deal with this within ourselves. So if a person who might be listening here today is unsure whether they should seek counseling, should seek some support outside of the family, what would you say to them?
There's no obligation to seek counseling. However, if you hesitate, you can also remind yourself that you are not required to have a long-term follow-up, and you might set a goal also to try just one session, just to try to see if you like it. What do you feel when you are trying that? Just to give you give yourself the chance to try, so just to try, I would say.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that, yeah. And can someone try it with a friend?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
it doesn't have to be one-to-one?
No.
Because not everyone's comfortable with that.
That's okay, and you have the right to be like with a person that you are feeling safe to be with. There's no problem with that. Yeah, it's really, really possible.
And with Deuil-Jeunesse, is it the person who's grieving that needs to reach out, or can it be the friend that says, you know what, I've convinced my friend who's grieving to come for one session. Can I bring them?
We have to be sure that the person who are trying these services, who are having a follow-up, is consentant. So for sure, you can have, like, for example, professionals sometimes give us a phone call, and they are like asking, okay, how is it working? There's no problem with that. But I would say it's very important. It's important for the adults, but also for the children, that they will be like ready to start the follow-up, because we don't want to force anyone, you know.
Can you talk, we're in Montreal, of course, so Montreal, Quebec, you talked a little bit about the spectrum of services that you offer, one-to-one, group dynamics. Can you talk a little bit about how we would access those?
We offer a variety of services, including individual support, family support, follow-up, and group session also. We are training professionals, and we have a phone line also to help people, like, for example, to do announcement, like, okay, I just heard that my husband has a serious illness. How can I announce to my children, for example?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, really. And we are there for that. We are really available to help people with this kind of situation. For services in English, the individual and family sessions are available in Montreal, in the Montreal area, but also by video conference all around the Quebec province. And at the moment, we don't offer a group session in English. Maybe in the future, we will see. So we have many service points across Quebec. We have Quebec City, Lévis, Trois-Rivières, Chambly, Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu. And I think that's pretty much it. We have a service point in Bretagne, in France. So we also provide services throughout Quebec, Canada, and beyond borders.
Well, that's interesting. I wasn't aware of that. So you do operate outside of Quebec. So you don't offer group sessions right now, at least in English.
Exactly.
But I could come, like, it could be many to one.
Yeah.
A family could come to you.
Absolutely.
And you could do these virtually.
Yep.
So that means, in my example, my sister, my brother who live across Canada and myself, we could join in with you for a session if we want to.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So what would be one thing you would tell people who are trying to understand grief and start? How do they start to say goodbye to their elders? Is there one point of reference and insight that you can share?
Humans are experiencing grief. It's a human experience, so it is important to allow us to react in our own way. I would say at Deuil-Jeunesse, we often say what is not expressed is imprinted in us. So feel free to try to express yourself. It can be by movement, it can be by art, it can be with words, but just find a way to try to express yourself. And if you need help, for sure, do not hesitate to try. Just try. Yeah.
I think that's beautiful. If we don't express ourselves, it imprints on us.
Yeah.
And the manifestation of that imprint, we don't know where that's going to take us.
Yeah.
Right. And it's what will sculpt us going forward. So,
exactly.
Emelie, you've really helped to open up a very sensitive topic for our listeners. It's the first one we're doing on grief. We will be exploring different methods. You talked about finding different ways of expressing it. We will look to explore that in future sessions. But I think you've really opened up a can here for us. And I really, on behalf of all our listeners, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And
my pleasure.
really appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Emelie, thank you so much for sharing your experience and wisdom with us today. Talking about grief, especially around losing our elders, is never easy, but it's so important. I really appreciate you helping us understand that grief doesn't have to be walked alone and how we can better support one another through that loss. For anyone listening who might be facing these feelings right now, know that support is out there and healing is possible, even when the path seems unclear. Grief is a deeply personal yet universal experience. In this episode, we explored the many facets of grief. If you're listening and grieving, remember that there's no right or wrong way to feel. It's okay to take your time, to ask for help, and to lean on others when you need to. Grief is a journey. It's not a destination. And whether you're grieving yourself or supporting someone else, my hope is that this conversation has offered some compassion, clarity, and hope. And of course, we've included precious information for you in the Aging with Dignity Care Toolkit for this episode. It's a free resource that captures the key points from today's episode, provides links to shared resources, and as always, offers some suggested action items to help bring this topic into your fold. If you found today's chat insightful, I invite you to stay connected and share this episode with your loved ones. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe to this podcast if you're enjoying what you hear. Thank you for listening in and sharing your time with me. Please join me each week for new insights into aging with dignity. Until next time, reminding us all to age gracefully and live vibrantly. Okay, before we wrap up, here comes the part the lawyers love. Everything you've heard today, just real talk. It's just our personal stories, experiences, and honest opinions. This podcast isn't providing legal, medical, financial, or therapeutic advice. And no, listening doesn't make me or my guests your lawyer, doctor, financial advisor, or therapist. The guests and I are here to share stories, spark ideas, and hopefully give you something to think about. When it comes to the big decisions, make sure you do your homework or check in with the experts who know your situation best. We're here to keep the conversation going. You're the one in the driver's seat.